Okay, so as an instructional leader, you probably asked yourself this a million times. How do we make sure a teacher's first attempt at a new lesson is their best one? How do we skip the trial and error phase and get right to fantastic execution from the very first bell?
Well, there's actually a coaching strategy that's built to do exactly that. It's called lesson rehearsal, and its whole point, as this coaching guide puts it so perfectly, is to make sure that the first teach is the best teach. It's proactive, it's super targeted, and honestly, it can be a total game changer for teacher development.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to break this whole process down. We'll look at the theory behind it, and then we'll pair it up with a real script of a coach and teacher in the middle of a rehearsal. We'll check out what happens before, during, and after, and we'll pinpoint the key coaching moves that make this whole thing work.
All right, so let's get into the what. What exactly is lesson rehearsal? Because it's way more than just a quick skim of the lesson plan.
Think of it like a scrimmage before the big game. It's a dedicated practice where teachers can try out the trickiest parts of a lesson. That one key question, that clunky transition, or that really complex vocabulary, and get immediate real-time feedback. The whole idea is to get the kinks out before they're standing in front of 30 kids.
And that brings us to the first and maybe most important phase, everything that happens before the rehearsal even starts. You see, a great practice session doesn't just happen by accident. It's all about laying the groundwork and getting laser-focused.
The coaching guide gives us these 4 crucial questions that a coach has to answer first. What exact piece of the lesson are we going to work on? What does the student data tell us we need to focus on? Is this a skill that will help in other lessons? And, most importantly, how is this going to make a real difference for the students? It's all about finding that one thing that's going to have the biggest possible impact.
And here we see that theory in practice. This is from our script. The coach says, our high-impact focus is differentiation during guided reading, specifically how to adapt live instruction for emergent bilinguals, special education, and gifted and talented students. I mean, wow! She absolutely nailed it. She answered every single one of those guiding questions and set a crystal clear focus for their time together.
Okay, now for the main event, the live rehearsal itself. This is where the magic happens. And the coach's #1 job here? To create a safe space. A place where the teacher can feel totally comfortable practicing, maybe even messing up, and then fine-tuning their moves without any judgment.
The process itself follows this really simple, repeatable loop. First, you set clear expectations. Then, you run the practice, usually with the coach playing the role of a student. Third, you give feedback right in the moment. And finally, you have the teacher try it again. It's this powerful cycle of practice, feedback, and refinement.
And check out how simple the setup can be. In our script, the coach just sets 2 basic ground rules. She says, I'm going to play 3 different students, and I'll use the word alto, which means stop, to pause us for feedback. That's it. That simple structure is all it takes to make the entire practice feel safe and incredibly productive.
All right, showtime. The rehearsal kicks off, and the coach immediately jumps into her first role as a student needing some extra support. She asks a really calm and clarifying question.
¿El espejo cóncavo es el que tiene la forma de un cuenco? Is the concave mirror the one shaped like a bowl?
Now, this is one of those make-or-break moments in a lesson.
And the teacher's response is just brilliant. She says, piensen en la palabra cueva. El espejo cóncavo se curva hacia adentro, which means think of the word cave. The concave mirror curves inward. See what she did there? That's not just the definition, it's an amazing mnemonic device. She connects cóncavo to cueva, or cave, giving her students the sticky, visual way to remember the concept. That is a truly high-leverage move.
So the coach instantly switches gears. Now she's an emergent bilingual student who's hitting a wall with some tough academic vocabulary. She asks, ¿Qué otra palabra puedo usar en lugar de variaciones? What other word can I use instead of variations? This is a great test of the teacher's ability to simplify language on the spot without watering down the content. And once again, the teacher just nails it. She gives these simple, perfect synonyms. Podemos decir que la imagen está alterada o cambiada. We can say the image is altered or changed. She makes a complex idea totally accessible for a language learner, but still keeps the scientific meaning intact. This is the exact kind of differentiation they wanted to practice. And then the coach calls out alto, or stop. Now look at this feedback. It's so good. It's immediate. It's specific. And it's positive. She tells the teacher her cueva analogy was clear and direct, and then she gives a simple next step. Try to rehearse that segment one more time. This is that stop and start method in its purest form. You reinforce what works, and you immediately polish what could be better. So you might think the work is done, but not even close. The after phase is where you make sure the learning actually sticks. This is when the coach guides the teacher to reflect on what happened and connect it directly to their real-world classroom.
And this slide just captures that connection perfectly. On the left, you've got the teacher's huge aha moment, realizing differentiation isn't about creating brand new activities, it's just about using the curriculum you already have more deliberately. And then on the right, look how the coach immediately turns that insight into action. She says she'll observe the lesson and collect student work. It creates this beautiful cycle of practice and accountability.
Okay, let's pull back and put it all together. What were the key moves that made this coaching session so incredibly effective? This right here is your actionable playbook for doing this kind of work.
First, she set that laser-sharp focus. She created a safe space with simple rules. She was a master at modeling different types of students, which let the teacher practice on her feet. The feedback was always targeted and right in the moment. She helped the teacher reflect deeply on her practice. And, this is so key, she connected the entire rehearsal to a future classroom visit and student data. That's what expert coaching looks like.
At the end of the day, what a process like this really does is transform what we mean by lesson planning. It takes it from being this theoretical exercise on paper and turns it into a powerful, practical preparation that truly builds a teacher's skill and confidence before they ever walk into the classroom.
So I guess I'll just leave you with this one question, a call to action for every single coach and leader out there. After seeing all of this, I want you to think about your team. Which of their teachers needs a rehearsal next week?